Jauan Jennings is back. Dominick Puni and Niners getting healthy at the right time as we are rapidly approaching. We are actually in it. Welcome to week one. A healthy San Francisco 49ers on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker at BD Peacock at Coach Crocky. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We made it. We did it. Everydayers, all off season. It's paid off because we are here. It is week one. We're going to make our predictions this week for the season and preview those Seattle Seahawks. And looking like a lot healthier group for the 49ers than it has been all summer long. Just the right time. The 49ers are getting ready. So make sure you're subscribed up on YouTube and everywhere you listen to your podcast. If you're new to the program, welcome. Really helps us out tremendously if you subscribe and hang out with us all season long as we break down these San Francisco 49ers. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. There's a theory, Croc, going around that Kendrick Bourne visiting the San Francisco 49ers Monday might have been that extra little bump that Jauan Jennings needed to get out on the practice field. And maybe all of a sudden the calf started feeling a lot better. What do you think about that? Jauan Jennings on the practice field for the first time, in a month for the San Francisco 49ers. Massive news heading into week one.
Yeah, no, you start to kind of feel like if he's playing a little possum with the 49ers or is it a contract negotiation tactic. But, yeah, you bring in the guy, you kind of see a little competition there, and it's like, you know what, maybe the calf doesn't hurt as much. I will say this from his perspective. It's tough, man. Like, to know I was as productive as it was when I finally get opportunities to get targets, guys were down, like you needed me, and I came through in the way that you needed during that time to at least make the 49ers have a competitive offense. And the next year is, we start getting guys back. And, I'm still going to play a big role because Brandon Ayuk won't be back. He'll miss a little bit more than a quarter at least. How healthy will he be once he gets back? Will he look like himself? There still should be some, legit opportunities for Jauan Jennings. And if I'm him, this is the perfect time to capitalize. Like when they talked about trade requests and all that, like I felt like he's right. Either pay me what I'm worth, and we heard some crazy numbers floating out there, $20 million a year. I don't know about that. Well, I think you're worth whatever someone's willing to pay him. I would not pay him $20 million, but I definitely would pay him more than $7, $8 million that he's going to be making this season.
Yeah, I think the tough part for the 49ers is that they just did that contract last year, right? And they just don't want to be held over the fire.
That was kind of to just get it going. All right, like they did with Emmanuel Mosley. Remember what they did with Mosley? Mm-hmm. It was something very similar where he was coming up on a contract year. They did something to where they extended him to where now it's like, okay, we got you under control for 2 years, but it was still a low amount of money. It was kind of when they felt like Emmanuel Mosley may be somebody that sticks around a little bit. All right, let's add this extra year. It gives us a little security in case he does ball out, and we can end up, just letting him walk in free agency, which they did. And I think the 49ers tried to do something similar to Jauan Jennings, but unlike the Emmanuel Mosley situation, like everybody was hurt like this. So it was like, well, damn, now we really kind of need you. Like Emmanuel Mosley, like obviously we like you. We would love to have you around, but we can kind of let you walk and we feel like we'll still be fine, even if you try to hold out or do something. The 49ers would not be fine right now if there's no Jauan Jennings. I mean, I think he knows that. So it's like, dude, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire and try to make something happen. And it's tough because the Niners didn't cave, and he ended up being the first one to cave and is coming back. And as far as we know, he's under the same contract.
Yeah, and who knows if the $20 million asking price is true or not. And look, I think the best thing that they can happen for the 49ers here is, look, $20 million a year. Some people are talking about even more than that per year, potentially could be the ask. It's like, you just can't do that if you're the 49ers. But can you give them a little bump? Everyone feels good about it. Get through the season. Then we'll figure this thing out in the offseason. And maybe maybe Jauan Jennings has to walk and hit free agency to get the full amount of money that he wants. And I think the 49ers would have to be okay with letting him walk if that was the case, if teams were willing to pay that, or if not, they're able to figure out something to bring him in to be the exact guy he's been for the 49ers, which is, a high-end number 3 sort of wide receiver. I think the 49ers, that's what they want. That's what they envision him to be. That's the piece that he is in the offense. He can start games for you, but you can't start paying him like a number 2 wide receiver around the NFL. And so I think that's where we're at, and hopefully that can happen, and he does stay healthy, and that this calf is – because, look, I don't think the calf was fake necessarily. You remember Alfred Collins had a calf injury, right? He couldn't work out pre-draft. He couldn't do OTAs. Like, he was out for 3-4 months, it felt like, right, with his calf injury. So it's not a short-term thing for a calf, and it's something that can bother you very quickly. So they got to make sure he's right as well and not force him into week 1 too. But hopefully the calf was right, and maybe the contract stuff was part of it, and some posturing, and maybe coming back to practice can help the 49ers get their half over the line, and they can at least figure out something in the short term to make everyone feel good and get through this season. Then we'll talk again. I think it's really the only way that this can get figured out.
You talked about him being a high-end 3. I think if you were to tell him, he's like, well, when the team needed me when the team needed me to be a 1 or even a high-end 2, like I was that, and I produced at a really good level. I think that's where the argument is for him. Like, what would another team be willing to pay him?
Yeah,
and obviously he's under contract, so it's not as simple as just us being able to find that out. But if I'm him, like, I think a team might be willing to pay me to be a 2.
Right.
And be a guy that catches 80 passes for him. The 49ers, I just don't see that being the case if everybody's healthy.
Yeah.
Even Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey will take away some of his targets as well.
Yeah, and Kittle. And so, yeah, in ideally, the 49ers, the way they've built this thing is Jauan Jennings is the 5th option in the passing game. And you can't pay that $20 million. And maybe he does deserve that from another football team. You might have to go somewhere else to get it. Looking at the wide receiver group, there's a whole bunch of really good news as far as injuries go as we get a little bit more serious for week 1. And I think guys that might have not practiced during the summer, I think when you start talking about real football games, Croc, I think whatever that injury is and the seriousness of the injury, that conversation changes, and players might start playing through stuff that they might not have been practicing for a preseason game, right? And so I think we might see some of that as well as we get ready for the regular season. Guys trying to get the players to this point so they could hit the practice field, even if they're still working through something, which Dominick Puni is more on some of these other guys. I just want to focus on the wide receiver group. Jordan Watkins, rookie 4th rounder. He was working out on the side at practice on Monday. And so when you look at the group of 49ers that are available to play wide receiver here early in the season, Kendrick Bourne visiting, do the 49ers even need Kendrick Bourne? I was actually talking with Wink at our fantasy football draft, and we'll do our Winky Wednesday episode tomorrow. I was like, man, do the 49ers now have too many veteran wide receiver options? So they have at practice Jauan Jennings back, Ricky Pearsall, Russell Gage is back and healthy at practice. Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Robbie Chosen were at practice. They're on the practice squad, could get elevated for week 1. And you have Sky Moore as well. And then you have Jordan Watkins working out on the side. So that's 6.5 healthy players. Do you need to add a 7th wide receiver there with Kendrick Bourne? Is that even a necessity anymore for the 49ers? And do you all of a sudden have too many veteran guys?
Well, I think with Kendrick Bourne, I think we know that it may be a little bit more of an insurance look, just in case something does happen to one of their guys. So 49ers, obviously, I mean, they've had a lot of issues with guys being able to stay healthy at the running back position, at the receiver position as well. Why not bring in Kendrick Bourne, see where his head is at, see what he's thinking, what's his market, right? Find out those things. And if anybody goes down, that could be the first person that you call.
All right, full list of players return to practice for the 49ers here as we are now in week 1 of the 2025 NFL season. And not only are the 49ers going to debut brand new alternate rivalry uniforms for week 18, those are all black. The Niners are going to be wearing all white this year as well, specifically white at home games, which is something they have not done in the past. More on that next. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers presented by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season is here, and you can feel the buzz. Fantasy football season, research, drafting, building championship squads. It's all happening right now. And if you haven't joined the league yet, now's the time because football's here. September 4th, Thursday, the season kicks off. So now's the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy, which offers so many fun ways to play and compete. You want more ways to play? Try the new Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine League mode, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated weekly until one team is left standing. You want to play instantly with friends? Try the new Draft with Friends mode. Prefer the classics, get your crew together, go head-to-head in a private league, and if you don't have a crew, no problem. Join a public league. The easiest way to play. You can go to yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Right now, you don't need to know anybody. You can just jump right into a public league and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football. The NFL season is here Thursday, September 4th. So don't wait. Start your league now. Draft at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. You know, Croc, I was in the city this weekend. I was coming back from San Juan Bautista, where we were having our fantasy draft, and stopped in the city, had a little lunch, and I realized my new favorite jeanswear brand, Doer, just opened a brand new store in Hayes Valley. So I stopped in at Hayes Valley at the Doer store, brand new store, to check out my new favorite jeans. I've been living in these performance denim. Straight is my fit. Was able to go try on some other stuff and see what else they had to offer. They got the slim, they got the relaxed taper. And by the way, say hi to Marcus at the new San Francisco Hayes Valley store. The brand new store, it is open now, and they were super helpful. I had a fun time talking with him. He was saying that he's already met some Locked On 49ers listeners that came in with the promo code Locked On SF in store to get 15% off. So that was really cool. And I actually walked out with another pair. So I got some no sweat fabric, which are, man, the comfy. They feel like the comfiest joggers, but they look ready for a night out. So I got the no sweat to go along with my performance denim now. And Doer combines that classic jeanswear style with the comfort and performance of athletic wear. The best of both worlds. Once you try them, they'll be your go-to. So visit their new store now. It's open at 567 Hayes Street in Hayes Valley, and mention our code LockedOnSF for 15% off your first order, or shop online at shopdoer.com/LockedOnSF. That's Doer, DUER, for 15% off. All right, Croc. So not just a healthier wide receiver group, which was the really big worry coming into the season and all summer long, and that's starting to come together a little bit. We'll see if there's one more healthy body added to that group in former 49er Kendrick Bourne. Dominick Puni. This is another really big one for the offense. And who knows? You could probably make the argument that Dominick Puni is even more important to have healthy in week one than even Jauan Jennings was for the 49ers, to be on the field, to help the run game, to help protect Brock Purdy with whoever he is throwing the ball to. And Dominick Puni told Nick Wagner of ESPN after practice that he's, quote, getting to full strength. So he's not quite 100%, but feeling a lot better. And he was back out there on the practice field. Puni said he feels good about his chances to play Sunday in Seattle. He returned to practice after his PCL knee issue that plagued him this summer. So that's really good news for the 49ers. Other Niners that came back to practice besides Jennings, who was dealing with a calf. Puni had the knee. Yetur Gross-Matos with the knee injury. Russell Gage had a knee. And then Kalia Davis, which we're not really clear what his injury was, but Kalia Davis also back on the practice field, might start at that 3-tech for the 49ers along the defensive line. So that's potentially 3 starters plus some key backups that are back on the practice field. I keep wanting to say practice squad because we talked so much about this roster and the cutdowns last week. So all good news. I mean, this is fantastic news. The 49ers getting healthy at the right time before the start of the season. And you could project potentially, Croc, that the 49ers, the only players that they'll be missing to start the season are the guys we already knew they were going to be out from ACLs last year in Brandon Ayuk and Malik Mustafa.
I think that's why a lot of people didn't want to panic about the injuries, but it was all noteworthy because it just wasn't ideal. Guys going down, whether it was going to be for, day to day, week to week, or month to month. But you look at it and it is coming together at the right time. And I think some of these guys probably would have been able to play had it been more of an important part of the season. But some of the guys that needed like certain reps, right, in the receivers like Jordan Watkins, like it is going to suck to like not have him out there and try to create some type of continuity with his quarterback. Jauan Jennings not being out there, I think that does suck to not build that continuity. Now with those guys down, what it did do was open up the door for Ricky Pearsall to really build a connection with his quarterback. So I see I think we see that coming together. But even on the offensive line, people talk about just the continuity that needs to be had there. And you need Dominick Puni out there so they can be one fluid unit. So, him missing some time, not being there, hopefully doesn't impact the 49ers too much heading into week 1.
And they do have enough bodies now where someone like, Jordan Watkins probably at this point won't have, even if he could go, he probably won't have a uniform on. He's not going to be a main return man. And they need the healthy bodies out there. Probably have a lot of those veterans out there on the field for the 49ers in week 1 at the Seattle Seahawks. Speaking about the Seattle Seahawks and playing games early on in the season, this is a surprising one, Croc. And it's an interesting suggestion that the 49ers have actually tried to do in the past, not for multiple games, but if you remember, I don't know, it was last year or the year before, there was a heat wave and the 49ers wanted to switch to whites at home, and it was like too late to change the uniforms against, I think it was against the Arizona Cardinals, because they didn't want to be so hot on the sideline, get a little advantage wearing white instead. Well, now the 49ers are going to do that this season. According to Matt Mayoko, for the first time, the 49ers will wear their white jerseys for early season home games to combat the possible heat factor at Levi's Stadium. They will wear white throwbacks in week 3 versus the Cardinals, and their primary white uniforms in week 4 versus the Jaguars. So what's interesting about this is, and that makes perfect sense, maybe get a little advantage, wear white, stay a little bit cooler in some of those really hot games, and it can get hot in September at Levi's Stadium. But the 49ers will only wear their classic reds, like the iconic 49ers jersey. They're going to only wear that 3 times in the 2025 NFL season.
When I think of wearing a certain jersey to combat the heat, and maybe there's some studies on there to where it is a big deal, but I don't know. I always felt like if it's hot, it's hot. And if it's cool, it's cool. I do know that, black holds heat more, so we've been told. And yeah, I'm pretty sure there's some scientific facts behind it, but I don't know. If it's hot, it's hot. So I don't know how much of a difference that makes in the sense of my performance on the football field. If it's hot, I'm going to be sweating. I'm probably going to cramp. Hopefully I hydrate it very well. I don't think it matters because I've had that happen in white uniforms. I've had it happen in black uniforms. I don't think there was much of a difference there. Maybe a psychological thing to some of the people like this. Does anybody ever say, "Ooh, look across the field. Ooh, I'm glad I ain't wearing those dark uniforms like them. Yeah. They got to be so much hotter than us."
Well, half the players in the NFL come from like Texas and Florida, and they're like complaining because it's too cold when they're playing games in Buffalo anyway. So I think a lot of players don't really worry about how hot it is and are used to growing up playing a lot of warm weather, football in some cases. Thanks, by the way, to 49ers beat writers Cam Inman and Jennifer Lee Chan, who have it broken down exactly when these uniforms are going to be worn. So here we go. This is the breakdown, Croc. Weeks, let's see. Home opener, week 3 against the Arizona Cardinals. Niners start on the road for the first 2 weeks. It'll be white throwbacks, week 3, home opener against the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to have the white primaries for the 2 road games, week 1 and week 2 at Seattle, at New Orleans, and then at home again, week 4 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to be wearing those white primaries. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're going to wear the primary white away jerseys 10 times this season. They're going to wear the red throwbacks twice, week 7 against the Falcons, week 17 against the Bears. The rivalry black uniform is going to be week 18. And so the only 3 games that is going to be the classic home reds is week 10. So they won't wear those until week 10. Week 10 against the Los Angeles Rams, week 10 against the Carolina Panthers, and week 12 against the Carolina Panthers, week 15 against the Tennessee Titans. So this is the breakdown for all the games. White throwback, white, red throwback, white, classic red, white, classic red, white, bye week, classic red, and that's it for the home red uniforms. Then white, throwback red, rivalry black. There you go.
Yeah, that's kind of odd.
It is.
I'm looking at, okay, so you got Jacksonville and Arizona back to back there. All right, let me look at the. Okay. Well, one's a throwback, White at home. Now, why are they wearing white at home so much?
Well, because they also have the white throwbacks already. That was, I think, planned to have the throwbacks.
Wearing the white throwbacks. Like, why
Well,
aren't you wearing the red throwbacks at home, and then you can wear the white throwbacks on the road somewhere?
Well, it's because the white throwback is during the September, so they wanted the cooler jerseys. So they're going with the white throwback at home instead of the red throwback. Later in the season, they're going to do the red throwback, week 7, week 17.
All right. I look forward to seeing the 49ers red with gold. And to know we won't see that until, look at this, red throwback, week 10? That's
week
crazy.
10. That's the first time they're going to wear the classic. And there's some of the most iconic uniforms in the NFL is the Niners classic home reds. They're going to wear it 3 times, period. Week 10, week 12, week 15. That's it.
If there's anybody that's all for, like, a change up, right? Yeah, well, okay, wear the throwbacks, wear your, wear mixing it up a little bit. I'm all for it. But at the expense of not seeing the classic red and gold until week 10, I can't get on board with that. I mean, I got no choice but to get on board. I'm just watching the 49ers, but I want to see those red and gold.
Yeah.
I want to see that red and gold. 3 times we see them this year? That is wild.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit strange, Croc. Let's talk a little bit about the early part of the season when they're going to be wearing a lot of whites. I think it's the most important stretch for the San Francisco 49ers. Next.
Not a fan of it.
Today's episode of Locked On 49ers is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. NFL season, it is nearly here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. FanDuel has been a sponsor of this podcast for a very long time. I've never seen them give away a $300 bonus. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your first $5 bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. All 17 games this season, you can find those lines already at FanDuel for the San Francisco 49ers for every team in the league. You want to bet on the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. Tons of futures bets across the season, prop bets for the NFL, for college football, for Major League Baseball. I think there's even some draft stuff already up there at FanDuel. So tons of ways to play. Of course, NBA is going to be getting going as well. And it makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. Quick, easy, the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. So if you are ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and get started. That is FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And if it wins, $300 in bonus bets. This episode of Locked On 49ers is also brought to you by Monarch Money. And most people can't even name all their financial accounts. And if you can't name your account, you definitely don't know what's inside of that account and what it's worth. So whether it's 401ks, properties, investments, and when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally, in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. And by the way, if you don't even know what's in your 401k, you probably don't know what your spending habits are. And how about some of these subscriptions you don't even realize you're not using, or don't even realize you're paying for them? Canceling those alone can save you a ton of money each month. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off the first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL. Okay, Croc, let's take a little bit closer look here. And I'm actually going to bring the schedule up. And I want to talk a little bit. We got to turn the page. The season's here. Let's start talking about what's going on this season. It is September 7th, Sunday at the Seattle Seahawks, and then on the road at the New Orleans Saints before the 49ers come home. In that opener, the alternate all whites, the throwback all whites, week 3 home opener, September 21st against the Arizona Cardinals. This is such an important stretch, and I think you can really start to carry this through, week 4 and 5 and get that first game against the Los Angeles Rams in October 2nd. But the first 3 weeks specifically, I want to focus on here for a second. How do we feel about the 49ers? Because I think early in the season is going to be such an important time for the 49ers. You might be incorporating a lot of rookies on the defensive side of the ball. It's looking now like you're going to be less banged up, but not 100% sure that Puni's going to be out there right now in week one. Not 100% sure that we're going to have Jauan Jennings out there. At least things are trending in the right direction. But tomorrow we're going to do our season predictions with Wink on Winky Wednesday pod when we record Tuesday night. But just looking at the early part of the season, how important is the early part of the season to you, Crocs? I think it's massive because I really think the 49ers is going to be in a nice spot November, December. They might be that team in the NFL you really don't want to play. Week 1, 2, 3, before DeMarcus Robinson comes back, early, maybe their first NFL action for a rookie can always be dicey, Croc. And we're going to have a lot of rookies on the field, potentially on the defense side of the ball.
Well, I think the biggest thing and why that first part of the season is so important is because 3 out of your first 5 games are divisional opponents. So the first goal for everyone every single year, right? And obviously you have the lofty goal of winning Super Bowl, but you just want a chance to get into the dance. And if you win your division, automatically you're in. So 3 out of the first 5 games, you got to come out and you got to come out swinging and win those games. If anything else, you need to win those games. Now, you start off with Seattle on the road, 12s. Traditionally a tough place to play. Not sure it's been very difficult for the 49ers to play over the last few years, but with the new head coach or his second year now, it seems like he's starting to implement the defense that he wants and how he wants them to play a little bit more and more. So how are they going to look? Sam Darnold, we saw what he looked like week 2 against the 49ers last year playing for Minnesota, and he played well, turned the ball over a couple times to Fred Warner, but he played well for the most part, well enough for his team to win. What's he going to look like in Seattle with guys that throwing the guys like Jackson Smith and Jigma out there, right? And then having, his running back be a little healthier, especially early in the season. So there's just some games there where you have to get out in front of them. The Arizona Cardinals, I never believed them because Kyler Murray and just who and what he is. I just don't care for him as a quarterback. But he is talented, and we've seen him and not be just this greatest quarterback. But last year, didn't they beat the 49ers in that first matchup against 49ers in Arizona?
Yes, I believe so.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Brock Purdy had a chance late and turned. I think the 49ers got out to a good lead on them, if I remember correctly. They got out to a lead, gave up the lead late in the game. 49ers had a chance to try to do a late game drive, and Purdy threw an interception.
What week was that?
Early in the season.
It was like week 2 or something, huh?
Yeah.
No,
because week 2 it wasn't week 1 because that was New York, and then week 2 was Minnesota.
Oh, right. I just remember the Cardinals game was the first. It was like, this season's not going to go how we all thought it was going to go. It's not going to go as smooth as it was last year, right? And
okay, so that was week.
Season.
It was week 3, 4, 5.
It's week 5.
49ers lost 24-23.
I'm looking at.
Anyways, that's a team that it can be they can sneak up on you, especially a divisional opponent because you know each other. So again, those games are so pivotal, I believe. And if it weren't those teams, I would say, okay, just see how you do coming out the gate. All right, if you don't have a bunch of divisional opponents, or maybe you just have one, all right, let's win at least half the games, start getting guys back, get in the groove, and then you can go on a run. But you can't afford to lose games when 3 out of your first 5 opponents are divisional opponents. You just can't. You have to, at the very least, win those games. So after 5 games, if you told me 49ers were 3-2, I feel comfortable with that. If the 49ers are 2-3 and they fail to 2 divisional opponents, I think that would kind of be an issue starting off.
I'm looking at Sam Darnold's numbers against the 49ers last year with the Minnesota Vikings. 17 of 26 passing, 268 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And remember, the Vikings rattled off 5 straight wins to start the year and won 13, 12 or 13 games last year. And
Sam Darnold, maybe a fumble or something too. There was, or maybe it was Jones. Fred Warner, I know he forced 2. He had a red zone interception, and he had another one where he punched the ball out on someone.
Because when you bring up the Seahawks and the Cardinals, those 2 teams I think are improved. I don't know that 100% Darnold is an improvement and may not be I don't really feel strongly about Geno Smith being a lot better than Sam Darnold at this point in Sam Darnold's career. And I don't think that Sam Darnold is necessarily better than Geno either. I just think what's around Darnold is better than what was around Geno last year. Defensively, I think this team can be really good in Seattle. I think offensively, the offensive line is going to be better for the Seattle Seahawks, especially if you get a healthy, bookend tackles of Cross and Lucas for most of the year. They had a first-round guard in Gray Zabel, who reportedly is looking like the real deal so far. You bring in Cooper Kupp as well, and you have your healthy running backs right now, at least for the short term. I don't know how long that Kenneth Walker's be able to stay healthy, but man, Leonard Williams, Brian Murphy, I think he'd have a big year on the defensive side of the ball as well. So this is a team that is better. The Arizona Cardinals are a team that's added a ton on the defensive side of the ball. The Cardinals are a better football team than they were last year, and the 49ers had their hands full already. So it's really important. This is a hotly contested division. You got to win those division games, and the 49ers have to come out a little bit hotter this year because they can't just bank that I think they're going to be better late in the year, but they just can't bank on coming back and winning a whole bunch of games if they start out in a hole. So
especially with the way that the 49ers have had to deal with injuries. I mean, and as we, looked into it some episodes ago, it's not just a 2024 type thing. Like, this is a team that's been one of the most injured teams since the Harbaugh days for whatever reason. So it could be fluky and you can bank on them being super healthy this year. But as of right now, it seems like they're going to have to play through some adversity. So if that's going to be the case, especially with some of these injuries, you got to win all these games, especially early on. Like, you got to come out and get W's. And it's not going to be easy. I mean, even Arizona, I talked about them. I mean, Trey McBride, how good is that tight end? And he's turned into a legit option. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, Marvin
he's a
Harrison
guy that definitely
average year. Could he blow
average rookie year? But we know what kind of playmaker he can be. And James Conner, he's been a terrific running back for them. So there's some guys there, as well as, again, I don't trust him out there, but Kyler Murray being a dynamic quarterback. There's some things that can make it difficult. And then the Rams, who are the fifth team that they would have to play. With the Rams, you kind of know a little bit more of what they are. We thought maybe, hey man, how injured is Matthew Stafford? Then I look up and he's at practice and he's throwing touchdowns to Devontae Adams. So you can't bank on him being hurt or anything. And if he's out there, he just increases their chances of winning. And that doesn't even mean that he's going to play exceptionally well. They beat the 49ers last year. What was it? 12-6. I don't even think there was a touchdown scored in that game, but he made a few throws or enough throws to help win the football game or contribute to a win for the Los Angeles Rams. So just him being out there, then you got Devontae Adams out there, and the running back situation seems to continue to improve there. The defense continues to get better, and we saw, they were even better down the stretch of the season. That's going to be a tough team. So those five, you just talk about the start of the season. You can't fall in the hole, and you got to win those divisional games.
Yep.
Like, you have to.
First 5 weeks, massive for the San Francisco 49ers. It all starts against the Seattle Seahawks in week 1. More on those Seahawks. We're going to have our crossover with Locked On Seahawks host Corbin Smith to learn a little bit more about what that team looks like coming into 2025. Winky Wednesday, make our predictions on tomorrow's show. And, of course, we're going to have our Rapid React breakdowns, as we always do, and the Locked On 49ers squad shows as well, twice a week, including after our Rapid React podcast post games. So stay tuned to all of it. Make sure you are subscribed up on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcasts. And Croc and I back tomorrow right here, Locked On 49ers.